So a few weeks ago, I was thinking about scouring the depths of the internet for another online scam to completely engross myself in for another analysis video. Now usually I would search for advertisements on websites such as 4chan, which is of course how I found Quantum Code. 4chan's screening process for advertisements doesn't seem to be as stringent as it is on other websites, leaving it as a good target market for scammers. So another area of the internet that I thought would be ripe with scam advertising is websites popular with baby boomers. Boomers are just notorious for their innate ability to fall for scams. When they aren't buying NCIS box sets, attending buffet dinners, or spending thousands on European cruise holidays, boomers seem to love sending their funds across the globe to Nigerian princes and Microsoft tech support workers. So upon checking websites popular with this generation, such as Yahoo and WebMD, I was thoroughly disappointed when I couldn't find even the most subtle of scams being advertised. It wasn't until I was leisurely browsing YouTube that I found what I was looking for. Now, I don't usually click on advertisements, but everything from the nonsensical composition of stock images that made up the thumbnail to the 18+ warning in the title, I was really compelled to watch this. So this advertisement was titled 18+, How to Become Rich in 2019. Get Russian Oligarch's Method, adapted for regular people. It was uploaded by a channel called The New Gang on the 25th of November 2018. I'll admit that a part of me wanted to believe that they unintentionally misspelled the word gang, but given their adherence to more advanced English grammar, putting an apostrophe after a noun ending in S in the word oligarchs does lead me to believe that this misspelling is somehow intentional. Now, their promotion of this oligarch method is what initially caught my attention while I was scrolling, but what exactly is an oligarch? After the Soviet Union disintegrated in the early 1990s, the economy in Russia was in complete chaos. The ownership of different state assets in a newly democratic government was contested by many, and a lot of informal deals to acquire these assets took place between former Soviet officials and Russian businessmen. Now, some of these businessmen had shady histories filled with corruption, bribery, and ties to the criminal world. Through the economic turmoil in the 1990s, state assets were being sold for incredibly cheap prices, sometimes even for free. So these businessmen found themselves in control of some of the largest industries, amassing huge amounts of wealth as a result. These oligarchs became incredibly unpopular in Russia, as they often flaunted their wealth with their lavish lifestyles, all while storing their wealth in foreign bank accounts rather than investing it back into the Russian economy. But all of this was over 20 years ago. So what exactly is happening with them nowadays?
The oligarchs continue to hold power today, and lots of peasant girls across the country are willing to sacrifice all dignity and self-respect just to entice the oligarchs to introduce them into their lavish lifestyles. The irony is that many of these girls honestly believe they have a position of power in their exploitation of such an opportunity, but their decision to take this path often leads to them being exploited instead. So the moral of the story is, don't chase after fat and greasy middle-aged men just because they have money, and don't trust any oligarch method to amass wealth, as it is likely illegal, morally corrupt, and entirely based on circumstance.
So with all that advice in mind, it was time for me to actually look deeper into this video. Now, after actually clicking on the video, you discover that it's titled Revealing the Truth. Why is it so hard for some people to earn money? Sign up for more. No mention of this elusive oligarch method this time.
Imagine that at this moment, you are sitting in a pub or in front of a telly, witnessing the deafening victory of your favourite football team live. You rejoice like a child, as if back in 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell.
We are off to a good start here, as this video seems to have a lot more production value compared to Quantum Code. Although flashy visuals don't matter when what is being said makes such little sense. You know, I just don't see how a football team winning and the fall of the Berlin Wall have any connection to each other. It's just such a strange comparison for them to make, especially because I can't see many football fans rejoice like children when the Berlin Wall fell. What is more likely is this is some sort of indication about the video's target demographic, which in this case is football fans.
But wait, that's not all. You have received 10 texts during the game. You read them and go saucer-eyed.
It's really good to see that they've used such a modern phrase as saucer-eyed.
You log into your online wallet and notice that the balance has gone up by 50,000 euros. You restart the phone and the balance is already 52,000 euros.
So you may be having flashbacks to Quantum Code right now, like I was, because this appears to be advertising another piece of software that makes you insane amounts of money very quickly without any effort on your part.
You don't think this is possible, but it is possible. Like your complete and final triumph over financial instability.
So this part is sort of an indicator, again, for their target market. You can begin to paint the picture of a financially unstable man, spending all of his days lazing around watching football. The financially unstable are always easy targets for scammers because they are more likely to open their wallets for that miracle cure to their financial woes. Which is why it's so utterly baffling to me that well-off baby boomers with complete financial stability are the other group of people that easily fall prey to these scams.
In precisely 1 minute, I will prove to you that it will happen very soon.
So he is lying here, it does take another 3.5 minutes.
And now let's go back to the 50,000 euros that you could earn during your favourite team's game.
Once again, this goes to show that they're targeting people with little or no financial knowledge, who think they can simply make money without any effort while, just watching a football game or something.
You could if you knew the true reasons why the Russian authorities and elites are persecuting the founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, and even have blocked his super popular messenger. The messenger was declared illegal for security purposes at the request of the KGB.
So this is where we get into the main backstory of the scam, because every good scam needs a backstory, of course. This one revolves around Pavel Durov, who is often called the Mark Zuckerberg of Russia. Durov created a social media platform called VK, which is far more popular than Facebook is in Russia. He also created an accompanying messaging service called Telegram. Telegram's an encrypted messaging service. This causes lots of concern for governments because Telegram can allow terrorists or criminal organizations to communicate without fear of getting caught. In April of 2018, the Russian Federal Security Service, or FSB, not the KGB like this video said, banned the Telegram messaging platform. This was officially done because the FSB wanted to prevent future terror attacks, but Telegram wouldn't provide the vital encryption keys that would allow the FSB to view user communication. As you'll see later on in this video, they devised a conspiracy theory around this ban of Telegram to further support their narrative.
But is it only the KGB that is responsible for banning the messenger? And why did Pavel Durov and his genius brother Nikolai have to urgently flee to the United Arab Emirates from Russia?
This is where we obviously get that thumbnail from. I just wonder about their creative choice here to place the video in a little box surrounded by a border made from the most generic stock images they could find, overlaid on top of each other. My best guess for this decision would be that they're trying to appear more credible or professional, but the addition of stock images in almost any form of media just always seems to make it lose a degree of credibility.
Let's see what really happened. Shortly before the ban, the news broke out that Pavel Durov had received an investment of $1.5 billion for his blockchain platform, TON, Telegram Open Network. Why, and more importantly, who is trying to ban Telegram? The answer will shock you.
So as I discussed earlier, it's pretty clear why the Russian government banned Telegram. I'm not going to say whether it was the right or wrong thing for them to do, but even if terrorism was just a cover-up for the Russian government's true motive, I highly doubt that their true motive would have been to prevent this TON network from gaining any traction.
The main aim of TON is to decentralize the internet and make it fully transparent, namely provide free access to any programs, including automated stock trading algorithms. Previously, only banks and hedge funds could afford to develop effective and break-even programs for automated stock trading. One of them was created by Pavel Durov's brother, Nikolai.
So it appears Nikolai here was born in the late 19th century or something? So I'm not sure if this is an actual image Nikolai used on his profile or if the editors of this video have made some sort of mistake.
But he used to make his living modeling trading algorithms for major Russian banks. In his interview, Nikolai Durov stated that TON, automatic trading system, is an improved version of all the algorithms that he had ever created. You understand that the monopoly of banks and investment funds will simply collapse if each person can connect an automatic trading algorithm to his or her computer. So this isn't why those in control of power resist as best they can whilst in pursuit of a singular goal: to prevent the Durov brothers from providing access to automated money-making for ordinary citizens.
So it's implied that this Telegram open network would allow anyone with a computer to have access to automatic trading software that is guaranteed to make them money. Now, if such easy and effortless access to money for the masses did exist, it would only decrease the purchasing power of the currency they trade in. It's like if everyone suddenly owned a bar of gold. You'd only get instant gratification before you realize that because everyone else also has one, it's now basically a worthless lump of metal which no one wants. It's the basic principle of inflation, something that Venezuela is having a fantastic experience with right now. So yes, there is a reason why those in control of power would be very wary about an automated money-making system, because it would create a snowball effect of inflation and spiral society into complete chaos. The creators of this video have created this straw man of these evil, faceless authority figures just wanting to keep the little man down and poor forever. This is all to distract those viewers from the reality of it all.
Financial and technological unicorns, including HSBC, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk.
There's some lovely spelling of Elon Musk we have right here. You can tell it's written exactly how someone with an Eastern European accent would pronounce it.
Да, это Илон Риф Маск.
And it seems to have somehow fallen through the cracks of their translation proofing.
My name is Vladimir Shuvalov. In 2011, I left Russia with Pavel and Nikolai Durov.
Unlike the very honourable Michael Crawford of Quantum Code, a quick Google search of Vladimir Shuvalov doesn't reveal anything, which only raises more suspicion. The fact that he has a Russian name, while sounding like a generic British voice actor, also raises suspicion.
Nikolai Durov personally entrusted me with testing the beta version of the algorithm. Today, I want to announce an open call for the first inflow of users who will be granted access to automatic earnings prior to the official release.
Just like Quantum Code, the scam's using the common tactic of implying exclusivity so the victim feels like they've found something limited and special. It has almost become a requirement for these scams, because if they fail to build this level of exclusivity, they risk the potential victim from beginning to question why they've never heard of them before. This could lead to the potential victim doing independent research, and this research could possibly lead to them finding scam warnings online.
Your task is to connect to the TON system and earn €50,000 per month in fully automated mode. This is a unique opportunity, not only to improve your financial situation, but also to join the dizzying success of the creators of VK and Telegram.
Another common tactic in these scams is how they attribute themselves to well-established brands to gain trust with the potential victim. For example, Quantum Code would often mention Forbes.
Yes, that guy you might have read about in Forbes.
Whereas this scam revolves around their supposed connection with VK and Telegram. This leads me to a theory that this is a scam that originally targeted Russians, as both Telegram and VK aren't very well established in the Western world. This is also an intelligent move because the Western and Russian internet spheres have very little overlap with each other, mostly due to the language barrier, meaning that any scam warnings that have already existed in the Russian sphere of the internet haven't reached Westerns yet. At the same time, the ongoing Russian hacker stereotype perpetuated in Western media could lead to a lot of potential victims feeling a lot of distrust upon seeing a Russian name behind this program.
You will not need to pay anything.
And this part's just a straight up lie.
You will be able to withdraw daily profit to any bank account. You don't even have to download Telegram. Just fill in the registration form on this page and you sign into your personal profile. By the way, I shall greet you there personally.
Now, being greeted personally by Vladimir was an offer I just couldn't resist, so of course I had to follow the link. So I was promptly taken to this webpage here, and if we scroll past the video here, which is just the same video as before, we get a list of Telegram's top traders of the week. Of course, as usual, the names sound either too generic, like with Elton White and John Cameron, or they have completely goofy names like they have here with Dennis Ribs and my absolute favourite, Nicholas Magpie. Now, I did go through the process of reverse searching these faces on Google, and as expected, nothing really came up given their really tiny 86 by 86 pixel photos. Nicholas Magpie here is actually an exception to this. As it turns out, this is Garrett Camp, a co-founder of Uber. Now, I was completely unaware of Garrett prior to this because I really don't keep up with anything in the business world, but given he is a co-founder of a multi-million-dollar international company, it's a rather bold of Telegram 10 to plaster his face under a different name, pretending he's one of their users. Doing this, they run the risk of losing many potential victims who are more informed than me about the business world. This all made me wonder who these other people actually are, because maybe they too are famous faces I just don't recognize. Scrolling down further, we see they have a supposed 24/7 support service, and underneath this we have a number of certification badges, or site seals. Now, the absolute beauty of these is you can just copy them from a legitimate website and paste them into your own without any proofing required. Of course, the intention is to provide an appearance of legitimacy in this website, but if you look closer at the seals, you'll see they're actually quite generic. This first one is the Komodo Secure Badge, which is something websites will purchase to properly verify their website has been vetted and is a trusted source. However, these seals usually act as a clickable link showing you more verification details. The one on Telegram 10 is just a PNG image file connected to the other 3 seals. If we scroll down further, we get to the important part, the fine print text. This text features a very stern warning about the total loss of your capital. So Telegram 10's implying that their automated money-making system is actually just a gamble. I don't quite understand why they would include this in their fine print, as it could dissuade any potential victims from handing over their money. My best guess is that this acts as a legal safety net to back upon if legal action is ever taken against them, something which will inevitably happen. My theory is further strengthened when I started reading into the risk disclaimer section at the bottom of the page. I won't go into depth on these sections because they're quite long and I just don't have the time to read them, to be honest, but in essence they feel like they're just copied and pasted from a more professional or credible source. While skimming through, there were 2 parts that stuck out to me, the first of which is where it says, "The videos may not be accurate and is not based on accurate past true events and are for simulation purposes only," which is basically them admitting to falsely misleading the viewers through the video. The other part that caught my eye is in their privacy policy section, where they discuss how they can provide your information to law enforcement agencies upon request, a statement or a threat that carries a lot of irony given the less than legal practices they are taking part in. So of course I completely ignored all of the red flags that come up on this website because I really wanted my slice of this pie that is Telegram 10.
And today you can get a cut of that billion-dollar pie too.
I began to sign myself up for the service using my spam email. As expected, after pressing continue, it asks for my phone number. I'd rather not give away my phone number or any personal details to these people, as giving away your phone number allows low-level hackers to bypass the 2-factor authentication that many logins nowadays require. So to bypass having to use my own phone number, I used the number provided on therejectionline.com.au. I did it this way instead of inputting a random set of numbers because I wanted to see if they send any text to this phone, which is something that unfortunately never happened. I was finally ready to sign up and start earning. I was immediately taken to this page, which Google Chrome for some reason instantly began translating to English, which was strange because it already was in English. The first thing I did after signing up was visit the frequently asked questions section, where their quality in English grammar has distinctly dropped. Rightfully so, the main question people ask is whether they get charged anything to use the service. Their response being that Telegram 10 is completely free, which is a blatant lie given you have to add funds to start get profit, as the website mentions. Question 4 is whether English really falls apart. Just have a go at deciphering this. You can't even, in fact, sometimes there may be frauds. If I'm on the phone, I'm not sure what to say. The system is entirely 100% free. I suppose they're hoping that potential victims that have gone this far won't really be looking too closely at everything like I am. I moved on to the add funds section. which is also where this mysterious robot button on the main page takes you to. As you can see, they're so generous and allow you to make the initial investment in a variety of different ways. You know, this is probably done in case any one of these payment methods gets the transaction denied, so they just have to keep as many options open as possible. Now, I got very excited at the bottom of this section because I saw the address of Orion Service, the organization that will supposedly charge you. Of course, I wanted to know how modern the headquarters looked for this cutting-edge organization where my hard-earned money would be kept safe. Google Maps led me to this very elegant headquarters in a really modern and avant-garde area of Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. Next, I went to the payment help section, which opened up in a separate window. So I was greeted by this woman who turns out to be a very busy woman indeed, working on the support line for a large number of different companies. And here she was, sitting, prepared to answer all of my emails, using her headset. Going to the deposit limit section in this window was particularly revealing, as it shows the minimum deposit you must make in order to supposedly start trading. Most of these payment methods have a starting limit of 250 Australian dollars, except for Bitcoin, which strangely only requires a minimum payment of 20 Australian dollars. I really pity anyone that decided to pay with VPay, because for some reason this payment method requires a $1,000 minimum deposit. It's pretty clear that the initial investment you must make simply acts as a front for them to directly pocket the money. They can easily falsify graphs to convince the victims that they were just unlucky and that this automatic trading software, which doesn't actually exist, has incorrectly predicted the market, a market which their money never actually saw. Most disgruntled victims who do complain will be shown the lengthy terms of service and reminded that they willingly signed up for something so risky. This fake legal talk will convince these disgruntled victims that they are at fault for not considering the risks associated with using the platform, which will likely stop them from spreading their completely valid complaints into the wider internet. The supposed broker of this service is called WiseBank, spelled with a C. You know, I'm sure the creators thought they were very slick fitting the word wise into their name. A Google search of them will provide many scam warnings, even being the top suggested search term. Given the prominence of scam warnings online about WiseBank, it was surprising that there were none about Telegram 10 floating around. As I discussed earlier, the really interesting parts only come up when you start searching in the Russian language part of Google. It's worth mentioning that I found a Russian version of this promotional page, and it even has their own version of the video.
Представьте, что прямо сейчас вы сидите перед телевизором и не верите своим глазам. Наша сборная одержала победу над испанцами и вышла в четвертьфинал. Вы радуетесь как ребенок, как тогда в далеком 61-м, когда Юрий Гагарин полетел в космос.
So it's quite evident that they're tailoring this video to whichever audience they're portraying it to, as instead of the fall of the Berlin Wall, they have Yuri Gagarin going into space for their Russian audience. Other than that, the video is mostly the same, except they replaced the currency with rubles instead of euros. This is one of many scam warnings about Telegram 10 in the Russian language part of Google. We can see that this scam has been under two different names previously, Ton10 and Super Binary. It's quite common for scams to change their name once they've been ousted as a scam in the wider community. This way they can stop any negative results coming from a quick Google search of their name. I can imagine if I was using Yandex, which is the search engine more popular in Russia, I'd get even more scam warnings. The distinct lack of any scam warnings in the English-speaking sphere of Google proves that Telegram 10 hasn't been in the Western market for very long. Their transition into the Western market is likely a direct result of being called out in the Russian market. The creators of this scam are taking advantage of the lack of scam warnings on English-speaking websites, which is why I'm doing the service of providing one of the only English warnings about Telegram 10.
Please clap.
In the 2 years since I last looked into Quantum Code, it seems that very little has changed in the world of online scams. Both Quantum Code and Telegram 10 follow the basic structure of an advance fee scam, in which the victim provides a small upfront payment in return for a promised service which doesn't even exist. Both scams take a very different approach in their marketing, however. Quantum Code were doing themselves no favors with their drawn-out 20-minute long video ripe with bad acting.
Morning, everyone.
Hey, boss.
How's everybody doing?
Great. Awesome. We're doing such cool stuff here. Yeah.
Good.
Telegram 10 takes an approach which I can see fooling a greater number of people into handing their money over. They entice potential victims with a professionally produced 4-minute video, which more or less gets straight to the point. Which is a shame for me, because there weren't as many funny moments for me to highlight like there were in Quantum Code.
Michael, I literally love you more than my own family.
It is clear that both scams are targeting people with very little knowledge about finance and trading, simplifying it all into this supposed miracle algorithm which is guaranteed to make them money. But I also have very little understanding about finance and trading, yet it's so easy for me to see through their ruse, which still leaves me questioning how people can continue to fall prey to these sorts of scams. But then again, psychology isn't what I specialize in. In the end, I suppose the elusive oligarch method is true after all, except Telegram 10 are the ones taking advantage of. Just like the oligarchs, the people behind this scam are taking advantage of an opportunity that won't last forever by breaking into a market in which they are yet to be outed for their corrupt practices. There is a great sense of hypocrisy when a platform like YouTube, who is so intent on deciding which content in their platform is or isn't advertiser friendly, seem to turn a blind eye towards the advertisements themselves and what they might be promoting. Now, I don't make any money from my videos, so I don't fully understand the issue, but I can imagine how outraged someone who makes this platform their primary source of income would be about the double standards of YouTube's advertisement policies. YouTube clearly has very relaxed rules regarding the advertisements they promote, and this becomes more of a problem when you consider that many people who browse the platform are below the age of 18. Children, some of which may have access to their own funds, just aren't as skeptical and cynical as adults, making them even more susceptible to these sorts of scams. YouTube should have a responsibility to ensure that these sorts of scams don't fall through their cracks, as they could now be held as implicit in the robbing of hundreds of innocent people through their promotion of Telegram 10. And that's all I have. Bye.